Your body has been warning you about diabetes for months. Most people look at those warnings and call them aging. There are 10 signs, already visible on your feet and lower legs right now, that have nothing to do with how old you are. And today, I'm going to show you every single one of them, including a 10th sign that the CDC lists explicitly, but that almost no patient video ever covers. My name is Dr. Stephen Marlowe. I've spent years studying what actually happens inside the body as we age, not just what shows up on a lab report, but what those numbers look like on your skin, your feet, your legs. And what I keep seeing is this: the body gives a very long warning. The problem is, nobody teaches you how to read it. That changes today. By the end of this video, you'll know 10 specific warning signs visible on your feet before a blood test ever catches them. You'll understand the science behind each one. Clearly, no jargon. And you'll leave with 5 concrete habits you can start tonight. Before we get into sign 1, I need to tell you something that most videos on this topic get completely wrong. Most people watching this believe, I've had blood work done, I'm fine, this doesn't apply to me. Here's what a 2023 systematic review published in Diabetes, Metabolism Research and Reviews found. Up to 77% of people with prediabetes, not diabetes, prediabetes, already show signs of peripheral nerve damage. That means the tingling, the burning, the symptoms I'm about to describe may be happening while your blood test still reads normal. There are 96 million American adults with prediabetes right now. Most of them don't know it. Many of them are watching something like this and telling themselves it doesn't apply to them. The signs I'm about to show you are for anyone whose blood sugar has been running even slightly high, which includes most adults over 60 who haven't had a comprehensive blood panel in the last year. Now, let's get into it. A few months ago, I reviewed the case of a 72-year-old retired school teacher from Columbus, Ohio. Her name was Dorothy. Her daughter had noticed something at Thanksgiving dinner. She touched her mother's hand and said, "Mom, your feet don't look right." Dorothy came in and mentioned that her feet had been tingling on and off for about 8 months. She thought it was her shoes. She thought it was the cold. She called it aging. Her fasting blood sugar came back at 228. Her HbA1c, the test that shows the 3-month blood sugar average, was 8.1. Dorothy had been diabetic for at least 2 years without knowing it. 8 months of warning signs. Dismissed every single day. She had 6 of the 10 signs I'm about to show you. Let's start with sign number 1. Sign number 1 is the one almost every person over 60 has already explained away. Tingling, numbness, that pins and needles sensation in your feet or toes, coming and going without a reason you can identify. You've told yourself it's because you were sitting too long, or the cold, or circulation. And sometimes that's true, but here's the question I always ask. Is this happening regularly without a clear cause? Because if the answer is yes, something specific is happening inside your body. Think of your nerves like fiber optic cables running beneath a city. When those cables are intact, data travels perfectly. Light moves through cleanly. But a hairline crack in the outer casing, even a small one, scatters the signal. What should arrive clearly begins arriving broken. That is what elevated blood sugar does to the protective sheath around your nerves. Slowly, across months, sometimes years, the signal breaks up. And what you feel is that tingling. Doctors call this peripheral neuropathy. Peripheral, meaning it starts at the body's edges. Neuropathy, nerve damage. And the American Diabetes Association reports it affects nearly 50% of people with diabetes, almost always beginning in the feet. But remember what I said about prediabetes at the start. That 2023 review found this process may already be underway before your diagnosis. That changes what this symptom means. It means you may still have a window to slow this, if you act now. Daily habit. A 20 to 30 minute walk every day keeps blood moving to the nerve endings in your feet. And if you're able, add 2 sessions of light resistance training per week. A 2025 review of 14 separate studies found that combining aerobic activity with resistance exercise produces significantly better outcomes for nerve health than walking alone. Your nerves respond to both kinds of movement differently. But here's where it gets more specific and more dangerous. Sign number 2 is the one patients almost never bring up unprompted. Because it happens at night, when they're alone, and it feels too strange to put into words. Their feet feel like they're on fire. No heat, no injury. Sometimes bad enough to kick off the blankets. Sometimes bad enough to get out of bed entirely. Most people chalk it up to long days on their feet, or fatigue. But when burning happens specifically at night, while you're lying still with nothing to explain it, that is a clinically meaningful pattern. Here's what's actually happening. Think of your brain like a dispatcher receiving emergency calls from across the city. Normally those calls are accurate. A fire in building 3 means there's a fire in building 3. But when nerve tissue in your feet is damaged by elevated blood sugar, those nerves start making false calls. They send a fire report to your brain even when nothing is burning. Your brain has no way to know the collar is broken. So the alarm goes out anyway. That burning you feel, it's coming from inside damaged nerve tissue, not from anything touching your foot. Research published in the journal Diabetes Care found that burning foot pain is one of the first reported symptoms in patients later diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, often appearing 1 to 3 years before a formal diagnosis. 1 to 3 years of warning. Most people call it fatigue. 2 habits. First, 8 glasses of water a day. Proper hydration supports the kidneys, which manage glucose levels directly. Second, add fiber to every meal. Beans, lentils, oats, vegetables. Fiber slows how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream, reducing the stress on already vulnerable nerve tissue. Now I need to stop here for a safety warning. This may be the most important 60 seconds in this entire video. If you've been dealing with any of these foot symptoms, there is a home remedy most families recommend. Caregivers suggest it. It sounds soothing, soaking your feet in warm water. For people with nerve damage in their feet, a warm foot soak can be genuinely dangerous. Here is why. Peripheral neuropathy impairs temperature sensation. What feels comfortably warm to your hand may be scalding to a foot with damaged nerves. Burns from foot soaks are a documented preventable cause of diabetic foot wounds. The patient feels nothing, because the same nerve damage that caused the problem also removes the warning signal that would normally make them pull their foot away. If you have tingling, burning, or numbness in your feet, no warm foot soaks. Test water temperature with your elbow, or use a thermometer. Lukewarm only, under 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Most caregivers don't know this. Most patient brochures don't say it. Now you do. Sign number 3. This is the one that stops being uncomfortable and starts being dangerous. Patients come in and say, I had a small cut from my shoe 3 weeks ago. It still hasn't closed. They waited. They assumed it would heal on its own. Most small wounds do, but not when blood sugar is elevated. Think of your body's healing process like a construction crew. When something needs repair, the crew loads their trucks and drives to the job site. Those roads are your blood vessels. When blood sugar is consistently high, those roads narrow. Fewer trucks get through. Fewer materials arrive. What would normally take 7 days takes 6 weeks. Sometimes the crew never arrives at all. And in a foot that already has reduced sensation from nerve damage, a wound can develop, worsen, and deepen before you feel anything. The American Diabetes Association reports that diabetic foot wounds are responsible for more than 100,000 lower limb amputations in the United States every year. 100,000 per year. Almost all preventable. Daily habit. Every night before bed, look at your feet. Use a small mirror if you need to see the soles. Look between your toes. Look at your heels. You are not looking for anything dramatic. You're looking for anything that shouldn't be there. With reduced sensation, your eyes must catch what your nerves can't feel. Sign number 4. Your feet, ankles, or lower legs swell regularly, particularly by the end of the day. Most people say, I've been on my feet all day, too much salt. And sometimes that's exactly what it is. But when lower leg swelling becomes a regular pattern, it can signal that your kidneys are being affected by elevated blood sugar. Think of your body's fluid drainage system like a sump pump in a basement. When everything is working, excess fluid is drawn away. When the pump slows, when kidney function is compromised, fluid accumulates at the lowest point. The basement fills. And in your body, the lowest point is your feet and ankles. The National Kidney Foundation confirms that diabetic kidney disease affects approximately 1 in 3 adults with diabetes. Fluid retention in the lower legs is one of its earliest visible signs. Habit. Reduce sodium meaningfully. Elevate your feet above heart level for 20 minutes each afternoon. And drink enough water. Dehydration counterintuitively causes your body to hold on to fluid more aggressively. Now I want to pause here, because I want you to do something. Right now, take off one shoe and sock. Look at the front of your lower leg, between your knee and ankle. I'll tell you what you might be seeing that almost nobody connects to blood sugar. Do you see small, brownish, oval-shaped spots on your shins? Most people call them age spots, old bruises, sun damage. They have a clinical name, diabetic dermopathy. They appear in approximately 36% of people with diabetes, often before a formal diagnosis. Think of the smallest blood vessels in your skin like the capillaries of a leaf, the finest, most delicate veins in the network. They're the first to be affected when blood sugar rises. When a tiny vessel fails beneath the skin, the tissue above it scars slightly. That brownish oval is what that scar looks like from the outside. The spots themselves are not dangerous. What they represent is They're a visible signal that microvascular damage, tiny blood vessel damage, is happening throughout your body. The same process very likely affecting your feet, your kidneys, your eyes. A 2025 review confirmed that approximately 30% of diabetic patients show these kinds of skin changes as some of the earliest visible evidence of metabolic disruption, often appearing before diagnosis. Habit. If you see these spots, ask your doctor for an HbA1c test at your next appointment. Here's something worth understanding. Every single percentage point rise in HbA1c, the standard long-term blood sugar marker, increases peripheral vascular disease risk by 25 to 28%. These spots are a sign that number needs checking. I want to tell you about James, a 64-year-old retired postal worker from Raleigh, North Carolina. James came in for knee pain. While reviewing his case, I noticed those spots on his shin. He looked at his leg and said, "Oh, I've had those for years." I figured it was from bumping into things on the route. His HbA1c came back at 7.4. His fasting glucose was 182. He had been diabetic for what his numbers suggested was at least 3 years. He had shin spots for most of that time and had never been told what they might mean. He also had 4 of the next 5 signs I'm about to show you. Sign number 6. Have you ever noticed a blister on your foot or lower leg that appeared with no explanation? No new shoe, no long walk, no friction, no heat. It simply appeared. These are called bullosis diabeticorum, spontaneous blisters related to blood sugar dysfunction, and they are almost universally attributed by patients to their footwear. Think of your skin like a carpet laid over a floor. Everything on the surface looks smooth, but underneath, pressure from disrupted fluid movement builds layer by layer, with no adequate circulation to drain it. When that pressure reaches what the skin can contain, it lifts, not from anything outside, from inside. Because of neuropathy, there's often no pain. The blister simply appears. A 2025 review published in PMC found that bullosis diabeticorum can be one of the first signs of metabolic disruption, appearing before formal diagnosis, often on the feet and lower legs. These blisters need medical evaluation. Do not lance them at home. An open wound in a foot with compromised blood flow is exactly the environment where serious infection develops fast. Sign number 7. Sudden, sharp, stabbing pain in your feet, arriving with no warning, no injury, sometimes waking you from sleep. Most patients assume it's arthritis, or a pinched nerve from sleeping wrong. Think of a car alarm that's been incorrectly rewired. There's no intruder, nothing triggered it. At 2 in the morning, the alarm fires. You check the car, nothing wrong. 3 nights later, same alarm, same hour. That's what a damaged nerve does. It fires pain signals spontaneously, not from injury, but from its own deterioration. The pain is completely real. Its source is internal damage, not anything touching your foot. A landmark study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that painful diabetic neuropathy affects approximately 25% of people with diabetes and is frequently misidentified as arthritis, tendinitis, or age-related joint pain. Taking ibuprofen for this is like silencing the car alarm without checking the wiring. The discomfort goes away. The underlying problem does not. Habit. Every morning before you get out of bed, 5 minutes. Flex your feet. Circle your ankles. Pull your toes back gently. Get blood moving before you put weight on your feet. And every evening, a 3 to 5 minute gentle massage along the sole and up toward the ankle. 2 minutes that are worth doing every single night. Sign number 8. This is the one patients joke about, right until I ask one specific question. I've always had cold feet. My wife calls me a human ice pack, and I smile. And then I ask, are your feet cold in July? Cold under 3 blankets? Cold even when the rest of your body feels completely warm? That's when the conversation changes. Persistently cold feet, cold regardless of the temperature around you, are a strong indicator of compromised blood circulation in the lower extremities. Think of your blood flow to the feet like a river delta. The main river carries plenty of warmth, but it reaches the outer banks through dozens of smaller channels. When those channels narrow from blood vessel damage, the flow stops reaching the edges. The far banks go dry. Your feet are those outer banks, the farthest point from your heart. When the channels narrow, the warmth simply doesn't arrive. The American Heart Association identifies peripheral artery disease as affecting over 8 million Americans and confirms diabetes is the single largest risk factor. Cold feet are one of its most consistent early signs. Habit. A 30-minute brisk walk every single day. a purposeful arm-swinging walk, pushes circulation into the feet and lower legs, and strengthens blood vessel walls over time. Start with 10 minutes if 30 feels like too much. The important thing is to start today. Sign number 9. This is the one almost no one notices, not because it's hard to see, but because no one thinks to look. During a foot exam, I look at the lower legs. Sometimes I notice that the hair below the knee is significantly thinner than above it, or absent entirely. The patient looks down. Huh, I hadn't noticed. That is exactly the problem. Hair follicles need a daily delivery of oxygen and nutrients through your blood vessels to function. Think of them like small workshops that depend on daily raw material deliveries. Cut those deliveries and production slows. Cut them long enough and the workshops close entirely. The absence of hair on your lower legs and the tops of your feet is not a cosmetic issue. It's a visible receipt showing that the delivery routes, your blood vessels, have been compromised. Research published in Diabetes, Obesity, and Metabolism found that hair loss on the lower extremities correlates significantly with peripheral vascular disease in diabetic patients, and is one of the specific indicators physicians are trained to check for during a foot exam. Before sign 10, the most important safety statement I will make today. If you ever notice a foot that is red, warm, and swollen, but not particularly painful, and you cannot identify an injury that caused it, call your doctor that day. Not this week, that day. There is a condition called Charcot neuroarthropathy. The bones in the foot begin to fracture. Joints begin to collapse. The foot is structurally destroying itself from the inside. And because the neuropathy is so advanced, the patient feels almost nothing. This condition is misdiagnosed as gout, cellulitis, or arthritis in nearly 1/3 of acute cases. The patient is treated for the wrong condition. They keep walking. By the time Charcot foot is correctly identified, the deformity is often permanent. A red, warm, painless, swollen foot is not something to wait on. Now, sign 10. I said 9 signs. There is a 10th. The CDC lists it explicitly on their diabetes foot warning checklist. Most physicians screen for it, and almost no patient video covers it. Thick, yellow, crumbling toenails. This is called onychomycosis, a fungal infection of the nail. It affects 34% of diabetic patients, compared to about 7 to 14% of the general population. Most people think this is cosmetic. Embarrassing perhaps, but harmless. It is not harmless. Think of a clogged gutter on a house. When water can't drain, debris accumulates, moisture sits, and in that stagnant environment, fungal matter thrives. The clog makes the buildup worse. The buildup deepens the clog. Your toenails behave the same way when blood flow is reduced and the immune response is compromised. The nail thickens. As it does, it creates downward pressure on the skin beneath. That pressure breaks the skin. And in a foot with reduced sensation, that broken skin becomes an entry point for bacteria, for infection, for the wound progression that leads to ulcers. Research confirms that fungal toenail infection increases the risk of a diabetic foot ulcer by up to 300%. Not 30%, 300%. This is not a cosmetic issue. It needs to be evaluated and treated by a podiatrist. Habit. Trim your toenails straight across, never curved. Keep feet dry and clean, especially between the toes. If your nails are thickening or yellowing, schedule a podiatrist appointment. This is treatable, but it cannot be ignored. I want to close with Carol, a 70-year-old retired accountant from Phoenix, Arizona. Carol came in with 3 of the signs we covered today, but the most striking was her toenails. She had been told for 4 years that it was athlete's foot, a cosmetic issue. She had tried 2 over-the-counter treatments. Neither had worked. When we ran her comprehensive blood panel, her HbA1c was 7.9. Her podiatrist confirmed the infection and started proper antifungal treatment. Within 6 weeks, her nail health was improving, and we had a clear roadmap for managing her blood sugar going forward. 4 years. An explicit warning sign right there on her feet. She told me afterward, "Nobody ever said the nails could be connected to blood sugar. I wish I had known that years ago." Now you do. 5 things. Simple, achievable, starting today. 1. Tonight before bed, look at your feet. Both of them. Between the toes, the soles, the heels, the nails, the lower legs. Everything we covered today. 2 minutes. Make it a nightly habit. 2. Walk 20 to 30 minutes every day. And if you're able, add 2 sessions of light resistance exercise per week. Even simple bodyweight movements at home. The 2025 research is clear. Both together produce significantly better nerve outcomes than walking alone. 3. Take sleep seriously. A 2024 study from Uppsala University found that each additional hour of nightly sleep, between 3.5 and 7.5 hours, reduces new-onset diabetes risk by 15%. If you're regularly sleeping under 6 hours, no diet change fully compensates for that. 4. Add fiber to every meal. Beans, lentils, oats, vegetables. Fiber slows how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream. It is one of the most affordable and effective blood sugar management tools available. 5. If you recognize 2 or more signs from this video, schedule an HbA1c blood test. Not just a fasting glucose, which is a single snapshot. The HbA1c shows your 3-month average and gives your doctor a far clearer picture. A comprehensive blood panel costs approximately $12 to $30 at most certified labs and is covered by Medicare for most of you watching this. Picture a Thursday morning 6 months from now. You're getting dressed. You sit down to put on your shoes. Your feet feel normal. Your sleep was good last night. Your daughter calls from the next room. You answer easily. No burning that kept you up. No pain pulling at your attention. That morning is available to you. But it starts with what you do in the next 24 hours. You've now seen 10 signs. 10 chances to catch something before it catches you. If even one of those signs felt familiar, please call your doctor this week. Not next month, this week. And tonight, look at your feet. 2 minutes. That is all I'm asking. You worked for the life you have, your independence, your ability to move through the world on your own terms. Blood sugar, caught early, is manageable in most cases through the changes we discussed today. Don't let something this manageable take any of that from you, because nobody showed you what to look for. Now you've seen it. One last thing. I want to hear from you. Tell me your age, and tell me which of these 10 signs you or someone you love has been living with, and how long you thought it was just aging. Drop it in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else in this community needed to read today. If this video helped you, share it on Facebook. Tag a family member, a friend, a neighbor. You may be giving them something they didn't know they needed. And if you want more of this, research-backed health guidance made specifically for adults like you, the kind of information I'd share in a private appointment, hit subscribe. Every week, something you can actually use. I'm Dr. Stephen Marlowe. Look at your feet tonight. Take care of them. I'll see you next week.